This video is going to show you how to fix a Lenovo Tab that won't boot up. I've got here a Lenovo Tab A8-50F. I do like the Lenovo tablets. They're affordable. They do work well. But the one problem is every once in a while the battery will drain completely and it won't be able to boot back up. It just is, no matter how long you charge it, you can charge it for hours, it will not turn back on. Now there is a fix for this and it's not that difficult. All you'll need is a little screwdriver. So what it seems to be is that the Lenovo drains completely. When you try and turn it back on, it freezes during the boot up process and just refuses to turn on. So the battery charges, but it's stuck. So what you need to do to fix it is do a complete power drain to completely reset it and then turn it back on. So the first thing is be sure that you don't have it plugged in. Unplug it completely. The next thing is we need to open up the inside and disconnect the battery. Now, as opposed to like an iPad, the Lenovo Tab is relatively easy to open up. You just stick your thumbnail in there and work your way around. You'll hear it pop as you go. This has already begun to separate. And alternatively, if you have a guitar pick, those are really handy to have around. They come in different thicknesses, so it's kind of a good tool to have in your tool set. I'm just going to slowly work my way around here, opening up the tab. There's another pop. Got a few sides open. I can almost get this thing completely out, and there we go. Now I can see the inside of the tab. Now the battery connects right here. This is where the battery connects. So it's a pretty simple plug-in, but it is screwed down just to secure it. So you got to remove the two screws. I've removed one, so I removed that screw already. I have one more screw to remove. I'll pop that one out. Now I can remove the shield that was covering it. That exposes this plug-in connector. So I'm going to just remove that. One thing I did not mention at the beginning, before you get to this point, it's good to have charged your tab up for probably a couple hours just to make sure it has a charge in it. So you're going to stick it in there, it's going to charge. It won't turn on, but it will be charging. Then go ahead and take the case out, take the cover off, open it up, and remove this. Now we've removed that. Now we need to help drain the battery quickly. We're going to press and hold this button. I'll show you where I found that. So up here, this is the battery. Here, this is the battery. This is where the battery connects. We look to the right. And on this side, we're going to see three dots. This top dot corresponds with the power button. And actually, if you hold the case up, you can see here is the power button. I'm just going to push and hold and count to about 20. What this does is if there's any sort of capacitor or any of the electronics inside this, by holding the button, it's going to try and power up, even though it's not connected to the battery, so it's not going to actually power up or even try, but it will drain any of the little bit of energy that it may have in it. I'm going to do this for about 20 seconds. Once I'm done, then it's just a matter of putting it back together and it should boot back up. Before we put it back together, we can test it. We just connect it, press and hold the power button, and there it goes. It's turning back on. So now I've confirmed that it works. When you do, one thing to be careful of, if you do test it with the case off, this is what causes it to vibrate, the little motor. It's a good thing when you're turning it on to put your thumb on it, otherwise it will vibrate itself right out of the enclosure. So it's turned back on. I'm actually going to, it's kind of risky, but that's all right. I'm going to put it back together with the tab on. Usually you should not do this. You should wait for it to turn on completely, turn it back off. That way you don't actually make a contact here. But I'm just going to ignore that advice quickly, just for time's sake, so that you can see how I'm putting this back together. If you do have a screwdriver that's somewhat magnetic, be sure to use it because getting these little screws back into place isn't easy. Okay, just about done. So I've got it back, screwed it in. You may notice when you do go to remove it, mine has lost its sticky, but this is just stuck on here with some adhesive. That's not necessary. You don't have to necessarily put it back on. But when you do lift this up to remove it, it's okay if that becomes unstuck. So I've got this back in place. Now I just need to line up the cover. My buttons are on this side. Here are my buttons, and here are the buttons on the enclosure. Put that in. I'm just gonna use some pressure and make sure that it snaps all the way around. Just gonna check the sides, make sure that they are all sealed, and they are. Oh no, this one does need a little bit more. Just snap that in place, and there I go. My tab is working.